wouldn't recommend it. The Office. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of What I Watched. This time it's December 2022 edition. It is a new year, it's 2023, but let's go through everything that I watched in the final month of 2022. Starting December 1st, I watched Vengeance, which was a fantastic film that it took me a while to actually push myself to actually watch the film, but I just really like BJ Novak from The Office, and I was excited because it had Ashton Kutcher in the film, which just, he doesn't really do films like what I thought this film was going to be, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was just a really enjoyable watch. Vengeance was absolutely a film I recommend, especially if you're from Texas. I am no way from Texas at all, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the film, and I thought his directing and acting and of course the writing was very well done. Next up, I watched Violent Night in theaters. This film was fantastic. I had a blast with this film. I put up a short little review out for it so you guys can go watch that if you're curious. I also did a ranking of every new film that I saw in 2022. That is an hour and 40 minutes long, so you can go see where Violent Night ranks on that list of all 92 films that I saw. But honestly, Violent Night was a blast, and I definitely will be watching it this upcoming Christmas. Okay, we're going to go through these next three kind of in a little group. We watched the Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3. I absolutely love the original Santa Claus. The second one I do think is still fun and enjoyable, and then the third one is not good in any way. Like, it is just absolutely a bad film. And we watched these films leading up to the release of the Santa Clauses TV series on Disney Plus, which we made it through 15 minutes of one episode and decided to give up. It just was way too cheesy. It was not good. I don't know what they were thinking with that show. They were trying to do something new with the little white ferret creature that was, my guess, Disney's response to Groot and Baby Yoda being so successful. They wanted their own weird little creature in the Santa Claus universe, and it was just not good. It wasn't fun. Speaking of not fun, we have Amsterdam. This film was so boring. We made it through about 40 to maybe an hour of this film before we gave up, and I just thought maybe there's a chance that it would get better, but it just wasn't engaging. Like, the cast, again, is so stacked and phenomenal. They're all a phenomenal cast, but it just felt like the film went nowhere. So I would not recommend Amsterdam. It was one of my really big letdown films of 2022. Like, I was looking forward to it, and it didn't hit any sort of mark that I was expecting it to. After that, we watched Bullet Train, which, again, this took me forever to watch. I didn't see it in theaters. We just waited for it to come onto streaming, and even then it took me a while to watch. And this film was fine. It was a fun one-time watch. I don't think I ever need to see it again. It felt like it was about 30 minutes too long. Again, I like Brad Pitt. I like the cast that was involved. Again, it just felt too long, too drawn out, and I saw the twist coming, from a mile away just because of who I knew was in the film going into it. I knew most of the heavy-hitting actors that were involved, so I kind of knew the twist coming from, 30 minutes into the film. So, yeah, just kind of ruined that little twist for me, but it wasn't that big of a twist anyways. It's not a film that I'm going to go back and rewatch. It's not a film that I would necessarily recommend, but it is an easy, fun action watch. So, this might be a movie that you watch on like a weekend where you just have nothing to do. Maybe you're cleaning, maybe you're hungover, and this is a film that you watch and you just have the volume turned way down low and you just pay attention when you want to pay attention. But yeah, Bullet Train was fun. Again, one-time watch. Next up, we watched Netflix's Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood. This film was also really enjoyable. It is just a love letter to the 60s space age era and just NASA as a whole and just, exploration. And it was a really enjoyable film. I thought, of course, the visual style, the visual storytelling was phenomenal as well. So, again, I would absolutely recommend this film because it's on Netflix. Most of you have it, so go check this film out. Next up is a film that I would not recommend, that is Darby and the Dead. We thought this was a cute little fun idea that would just be an easy watch, and it was for the most part, but it just, again, felt like it went nowhere. It took 40 minutes of us just waiting and waiting before we decided to finally give up on the film. So yeah, the actors are fine. It's just that the the script just wasn't fully there. I think this was more of a short story, maybe a 30 to 40 minute short film would have done better than a full length feature film. But either way, I'm sure some people will enjoy it, but it just wasn't for us. It had some entertaining, cute bits, but it wasn't. But yeah, it's something that I wouldn't recommend and I wouldn't watch again. Next up is It's a Wonderful Binge. This is an easy, dumb Christmas comedy film. Definitely not a family-friendly Christmas comedy film, but it is funny, to say the least. It's a fun one-time watch. I don't see myself ever rewatching it again, but again, it was something. We were looking for something Christmassy, something we hadn't seen. This was that. It was entertaining, but again, pretty forgettable. I wouldn't watch it moving forward. After that, we watched Emily the Criminal with Aubrey Plaza, which I love Aubrey Plaza. She's hilarious. She's a phenomenal actress, and this was a more serious role. It is a full-on drama thriller kind of, and it, again, was also very entertaining, but at the end of the day, it was a bit predictable, and yeah, it's just not something that, again, I would ever really consider rewatching. I recommended it to some people just as an easy watch. I said, hey, it's nothing spectacular, but it's an easy watch and it's got good performances. After that, I watched Brian and Charles, which you guys can go watch my top 10 movies of 2022 to see where that movie ranks. I'm not going to say anything about it here because it is one of my favorite movies from last year, so just go check that video out if you want to know my thoughts. After that, we have All Quiet on the Western Front. This was a phenomenal retelling of the original film of the same name. I thought it was fantastic. It had one of the most shocking death sequences of the year, one of the most shocking death scenes that I've seen in a very, very long time. It's a film that I will not forget, and I absolutely will be rewatching it. Next up, we watched The Legend of Frosty the Snowman from 2005, and this was also not my cup of tea. I love the original Frosty the Snowman, but something about the art style and just the fact that the guy who voices Patrick Star from SpongeBob was voicing Frosty. It's just all I could hear was Patrick. It just didn't sound like Frosty to me. So yeah, The Legend of Frosty the Snowman, not for me. After that, I watched Knit Ram, which is After that, I watched a horrifying true story film called Knit Ram. I'm not going to go into the details about that film or what it's about here just because it is pretty heavy. You guys can go look it up for yourselves, but I will have to say it was a phenomenal film. The acting was fantastic, and the entire runtime is just unsettling. That's the tone that you get for this entire film. It's just unsettling. Next up, I watched Christmas Bloody Christmas, which you guys can also go watch another short little review for. I really enjoyed this film. It's a dumb, fun Christmas slasher film. Go check it out if you have Shudder. After that, we watched Avatar, followed by Avatar: The Way of Water. Yikes. You guys can go watch my full review of Avatar: The Way of Water, which is out now. Yeah, not a big fan of that film. I enjoyed Avatar, the original, when I saw it in theaters, and I think I've seen it once since then, and then again before the release of Avatar: The Way of Water, and it just does nothing for me. Visually, it's amazing, and yeah, it should be seen on a big screen. That's how we saw Avatar: The Way of Water. And even then, in 3D, it wasn't worth it. The runtime was way too long. I don't even recommend watching this film at home just because it's not going to be worth your time. It's just a boring story. After that, I watched The Banshees of Inisherin, which again is one of my favorite films of 2022. So you guys can go watch my ranking, the top 10 films of 2022, to see where that ranks. It is on that list. Obviously, I'm saying it now, but it is a fantastic film. Incredibly well made. The acting is phenomenal. I could go on about Banshees of Inisherin along with In Bruges because it's the same cast, same director. I loved it. Go check it out. After that, I watched Red Right Hand, the long-awaited Scream fan film created by Killjoy Jake, known on YouTube. The horror YouTuber. He's, a great YouTuber, and the film was a blast. It's a $5,000 Scream fan film. It's easy to watch. I didn't actually solve the killer, so props to the team for actually, tricking at least one person. But yeah, it's enjoyable, and if you like the Scream franchise, go check out Red Right Hand, free on YouTube. After Red Right Hand, we watched The Polar Express, which of course is another Christmas classic. I really enjoy it. Obviously, there's some weird face things going on with the whole Tom Hanks mocap thing, but It's enjoyable. It's a Christmas classic at this point, and I do think that overall the visuals are pretty amazing. Next up, I watched Deadstream, which took me a while to get through this movie as well. I just didn't really have an interest in it, but I have to say I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I did think it was overall pretty funny as well. The jokes did land for the most part. I thought it was. I heard somebody say that this is what Halloween Resurrection wishes it could have been, and I absolutely agree. It is a fun, goofy. It's like, yeah, I think somebody actually said this. I can't remember who, but somebody said it was like Evil Dead meets Halloween Resurrection in a good way, and that's absolutely the case. After that, next up we have the Adult Swim Yule Log, which is absolutely wild. It's cheesy, it's corny, and it's got a story that is very unusually complex. Like, you wouldn't expect a story to play out the way that it does from an Adult Swim Yule Log Christmas horror film. It's just bizarre, and it's fun, and it's entertaining. After that, I gave Crimes of the Future another rewatch, and I could not make it through this film. I just don't care. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just not a fan of Cronenberg. I hate to say that, but I don't know. I don't like this film. I don't like the visuals, really. I thought they were kind of cheap looking. I just don't think it really went anywhere. Next up, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, another Christmas classic. There's nothing I can really say. It's just an easy Christmas watch. Speaking of another easy Christmas watch, we have Christmas with the Cranks, which is absolutely a dumb film, but it just works. It's a dumb Christmas film that works. It's so easygoing. There's nothing about this film that makes you feel like you absolutely have to pay attention, but also you can just like pop in at any time and know what's going on. It's so enjoyable. It's an easy Christmas watch. Christmas with the Cranks. How can you go wrong? Next up, we watched Turning Red for the first time, and again, this is a film that really does nothing for me. I thought the visuals were phenomenal, and there were some funny, cute bits, but again, it's just not a film that's made for me. I just don't feel like most of Pixar, Disney's more recent releases have done much for me. I did really like Encanto, but Encanto and Moana are like the two newer Disney films that have really stuck with me. Other than those two films, all of these other new Disney films just really aren't clicking with me. Then I checked out Weird, the Al Yankovic story, and if you are a fan of Weird Al in any way, go check this film out. It's freaking hilarious, one of the funniest films of the year, and Daniel Radcliffe plays the role like to a T. It is just absolutely fantastic. Then I watched Black Christmas for the very first time, and I thought this film was really well made. It was just a tidbit too slow for my liking, but again, it's just the time that this film was released. But again, it was really enjoyable, and I thought the twist was very, very well done. I actually had to kind of rewind it because I was like thrown off guard. I just wasn't expecting it to go the way that it did. If you haven't seen the film, go check it out. But Black Christmas 1974, I thought it was really well done. I was busy doing some other work while I was watching the film, so that's why the twist caught me off guard even more, I would say so. So yeah, it's an enjoyable watch, and I'm curious to check out the 2006 remake, I believe it was. I know not a lot of people like that film, but I'm curious to check it out now. I'm going to go through these next ones kind of in a clump as well. Next up, I watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, another Christmas classic. You can't go wrong with it. It's so easy to watch and so entertaining. Next up, we have A Charlie Brown Christmas. Also, the same thing I said about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, just in a very different context. Easy to watch, super entertaining, and it's just a cozy film. Then we followed it up with Frosty the Snowman, the original, which I absolutely love. Again, that 2005 one did nothing for me, but this original one I absolutely love, and it is adorable. Then I watched a film called Pleasure, and I would not recommend this film. This film tries to send messages about very explicit subject matter, but it tells it in a very cheap way, and it just wasn't convincing. That sounds weird, but like I made it through like 20-30 minutes of this film before I was like, what the hell am I watching? It wasn't good. Then I watched Triangle of Sadness, which I will say, it's on my top 10 of 2022. So just, that's all you gotta hear. Go watch my ranking, because this film is freaking wild. Don't watch the trailer if you haven't already seen it. Just find a way to go watch this film. Maybe you could read the synopsis of it, but yeah, just don't watch the trailer. Then I watched Top Gun Maverick, but specifically only the last 30 minutes of the film. I was just craving some action, and I didn't want to watch the entire film. I just really wanted to see that final jet sequence going through the mountains, and that's what I watched, and I was entertained, I was engaged, and it's a badass sequence. Then I watched Beast, which also took me forever to get to and took me forever to get through because I was, again, extremely bored. I ended up pausing it multiple times, going to do other things so that I could come back and hopefully be a little bit more interested in what was going on. But I just, it was so predictable. Not my film, although, I like creature features, so of course I was going to check it out eventually. But yeah, I like Idris Elba, I like Charlton Copley, but it wasn't a film that stuck with me. Then we finally watched The Woman King, which was absolutely badass. I love this film. I honestly, I will be purchasing this film on Blu-ray. It is just, it's entertaining, it's engaging, it's not too long of a film, and it tells a great story. So I absolutely love The Woman King. Then I watched Mad God, which I didn't make it through the entire film, I will say, but the craftsmanship, the way that this film is made is just fantastic. 30 years of filmmaking for this film. Phil Tippett did an amazing job. Again, it doesn't really have a full cohesive story structure that's very prominent. Again, I'm sure there's layers and layers and layers of things in there that I'm missing, and I'm sure people will be picking apart this film for years to come. But again, it's just not something that I could really sit through that long, just because it felt like one wild, weird music video. Like, this is a film that I feel like I need to watch drunk, but also not, because I don't think I would get everything that the film's trying to tell me, but I feel like watching this film drunk would be the only way to make it through the entire runtime because of how bizarre it is. Then the last two films for the year of 2022 finished it off with The Fabelmans, which, again, just go check out my top 10 of 2022. That film is fantastic. I will be purchasing the Steelbook, whenever that comes out. I need The Fabelmans right now. It's fantastic. Go check it out. Then I followed it up with The Whale. I saw this film in theaters, thank God. Then I followed it up with The Whale, the final film of 2022. And I gotta say, I was kind of let down. I felt like it was somewhat predictable. The opening scene I did not expect, I will say that. I was just a little bit shocked by that. I didn't know the film was going to go that way. However, the complete ending, I saw, it just made sense. I didn't expect it to happen in the weird artsy way that it happened. But again, yeah, Brendan Fraser is fantastic, Sadie Sink is fantastic, but that being said, it's just a little bit too dark, a little bit too bleak of a story for me to really be interested. Again, the performances are fantastic, but I don't know, I don't think I need to see it again. I feel like I might just not be a fan of Darren Aronofsky's work, but I mean, he knows how to create a successful film, successful actors, fantastic performances, but I just don't personally click. But yeah, that's everything that I watched in the month of December. Stick around for what I watched in the month of January 2023. It's a new year, new month. But yeah, I just saw Megan as well, so that'll be on that video, as well as a short little review for that film. So go check out my thoughts for Megan. And yeah, stick around for what's to come this year. I'm very excited to keep posting some more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carter. I'll see you guys later. Peace.